Command. I don't know if you're familiar with the Phoenix Command rules. That was a 90s tactical tabletop simulation game.
I would say that only like
No, it was very niche. As an RPG, I think Palladium was interesting in that it did. If you played Dungeons and Dragons, if you played First Ed, which was kind of the contemporary, you could switch over to Palladium very quickly, and it didn't bog you down in being overly structured. Like, actually it'd be more like basic D&D, the box sets, in that it was not overly structured. It didn't have hit tables. It didn't have armor class versus weapon adjustment tables. It didn't do things that I think BattleTech did that were interesting, which was BattleTech had heat management, which I thought was an interesting mechanic. I think also it would have been interesting to see power management, which it doesn't have. It's really just straight. Your mecha is when you're in your mecha, it's your avatar. It flies like, or it operates like your character would, in a RPG setting. And then when you're out of your mecha, your character operates like a character would. So that's really sort of my memory of the RPG, is that it was very much a D&D clone, like most RPGs at the time were. Did that get your question? Yeah. Insofar, I wish I knew the other games better, but okay, sure. Any other questions?
Yeah, all right, I got a question for everyone. We'll start with.
The gentleman in the back has one.
Okay. All right.
Just had a quick question for you. You're talking about the sequence of the media creation. So the novels themselves, like when I grew up, on TV, watching Robotech was like a gem, like being able to find one of them. But being able to see anything beyond the first season, I never saw it until I was much, much older. So the novels,
you only saw the Macross episode.
Yeah.
Interesting. I know there were some markets that did that. That they just recycled it after the Macross.
Yeah.
And Bryant, didn't you only get you didn't get all of Next Generation or New Generation, right?
Oh, the episodes?
Yeah.
No, actually, I was able to watch them all. They were in order. I personally seriously got into Robotech when a friend of mine lent me videotapes. A friend in high school lent me videotapes because I was, for better or worse, heavily into Transformers, Spider-Man, other Marvel comics. But of course, cartoons such as Thundercats, Ghostbusters, Real Ghostbusters, Robotech. Even though they played it, and I would try to watch it whenever I could, it caught my interest for that moment. But the videotapes, they made me a fan, and I searched out other stuff.
So he wasn't you. There was one of our cadre at Anime LA that also had experienced what you did, is where they play the first saga and then they rotate back to. So your question was about getting exposed to.
Yeah. So I finally found some novels on the second generation and the Sentinels. So sequence-wise, from an actual creative development perspective, when did the novels actually come in?
Right. So the sequence of that was the show. The show was developed in 1984 and lines were recorded. It was aired starting in March 1985. Not long after that, because it was an immediate success, not long after that, the creator of the show, Carl Masek, started to create plans for a sequel. And I actually have the story Bible here, a copy of the story Bible. And our time is being, but no, so that comes out. The next thing that happens is there's a prequel graphic novel that's coming out.
The panel starts what, 5 minutes or something?
I think they start in 1986, and then the graphic novel, also from Palladium, comes out in 86. About this time, James Luceno and Brian Daley, who under the pen name of Jack McKinney, have started writing the novels. At some point, once they get far enough into the adaptation of the show, Carl Masek gives them their story Bible to write the sequels. So if you've seen the Sentinels novels, those are actually reasonably faithful and much improved, because this story Bible, it's hot garbage. A much improved adaptation of Masek's concept for Robotech 2. This is happening, and then the Kamiko license ends, and it switches over to a Academy, and then Antarctic, then Eternity, and then
Eternity, Malibu.
Malibu.
Malibu right after Kimiko.
And they're continuing to publish comics pretty continuously up till about 2000. So the novelizations went, I know the last novel, because I'm in it, I'm actually quoted in one of the epigraphs after I had long internet arguments with the author. And that's a fun story we can tell at our panel, at our booth. But that was published in like 95, 96, no,
around that.
95.
Right.
And so that's the last of the novels, and these were 3 novels that were sort of filler novels. They fill in the gaps. And so the novels end around there. The comics continue to trickle through until
I think 95, 96
for
the last one.
For a few years in the early 2000s, and I've kind of
Okay. All right. Pete. All right.